Hello, my name is Michael Baker. I'm an executive editor with the BTN Group, and I am joined today by three members of our judging panel of our Business Travel Innovation Faceoff here at the Business Travel Show Europe. So I'm joined by Karen Hutchings, who is a consultant. I'm joined by Lenny Hornsby, who is with Deloitte Germany, and Bala Chandran, who is with Lumo. That was our winner last year, so thank you all for joining me today. So we had our winner announced today. That was PredictX. We're going to talk about them in just a moment. But before that, I just wanted to talk to each of you about what you thought of the overall panel, of the overall slate of contestants this year. It seemed like we had a very strong slate. So what stood out to you, Karen?
I think there was a great variety of companies that put themselves forward. Overwhelmingly, though, was the conversation around AI. So everybody seemed to use LMM or AI in whatever it was that they were offering up. And I think we know it's coming, and we keep saying that it's coming like a freight train. I think the freight train's arrived now, actually, and I really think that we're going to see lots of change in the industry. So it was wonderful to see that be at the forefront of all of the presentations today.
The focus, obviously, is on artificial intelligence right now. And I think, as you said, we're talking a lot about the LLM modules that are out there. We got a good deal of insight of different kinds of modules, agentic AI and also predictive AI, that will be used in the future to the best benefit of the business travel industry. What we also got were great business ideas that still need a bit of work. The legal and taxation entanglements of accommodation and who pays, who's invoiced, that kind of thing. I think some of the suppliers that work in the US sector aren't aware of how much more difficult it is to do these things in Europe. That was quite interesting to help them also with the comments that we were able to make.
And well, having been on both sides of this as a competitor last year and as a judge this year, how did it feel to be in the judging position?
It's much harder being a judge. As a contestant, you just say what you want to say and what you've prepared for weeks, and it's done. But it's really interesting because as a judge, you get to see a perspective that we as startups typically don't see. So I'm really happy I was part of the process.
Let's talk about our winner, PredictX. Of course, they showcased their new Cogent agent AI workspace, I think is what they're officially calling it. It can do a whole host of things that they had, I think, 6 use cases they showed, from helping you out with RFPs to kind of comparing contracts, all sorts of things. So what made them stand out?
I think it's worth mentioning there was 3. It was really close between the top 3 for sure. But I think what they shown up was just something that was much more unique than all the others. So they were the only data aggregator type company that actually was presenting for one. And then also the solution that they brought forward, their new innovation they've got, that was special actually. I think, everybody in travel teams at the moment are trying to find efficiencies because the pressure is on. You're hearing a lot of headcount cuts or people having to take on more responsibility. And so a lot of that work that's able to do will actually really support travel teams in doing their RFPs or doing the data aggregation that they need to do in how they present it to stakeholders. And it just feels like it's taking data to a whole new level, and I think that's what made them stand out, because there was no other one that was similar to them either. They were very unique.
There are a lot of missing links in what travel management has to deal with, particularly because of data fragmentation. We have a lot of travel managers have invested a lot of time in the past couple of years looking for alternatives. Finding that, from a booking platform perspective, a data perspective, choosing suppliers that enable bilateral communication of data, you won't find that. It's always from point to point to point. It gets changed every single point at every single point. So then taking into account the promises of NDC that haven't fully been fulfilled yet. So you're still stuck with the old ecosystem. And I think that the AI modules, only 6 of them are presented, and I think there are plenty more. And what they've done is build it in an open fashion so that any of the modules that they built, any of the machines that they've built, they can teach the machines very specific to the needs of the customer that wants to use them, if they have the need to customize anything. So I thought that was one of the standout approaches that PredictX put forward. I mean, they're very well known for data aggregation and reporting, but this is a whole new level.
The way we think about AI is replacing humans isn't the right way to think about it. It's augmentation, and I think this is an example of giving humans something that they can ingest, think about, ask more questions. So it's really helpful AI in a sense. I really like that about it.
We should probably mention Skylink as well, because as you said, it was very close and they were commended.
They just offer a very, very different booking process solution. And I think when we think about the next gen traveller, their expectations is to be able to talk to something and get a reservation made. And that's exactly what they've solutioned. I think, going onto an online booking tool now, that's a thing of the past, actually. It's still here as a present at the minute because there's not as many Skylinks out there. But I think the reality is that we're going to see many more, and we had many present actually today. It was just that Skylink are that much further down the road with their solution, and they've implemented some large clients, particularly in the US. And I just think the ease of the booking process that they have, but also then their roadmap of what else is coming, that was really interesting with them. And it was really, really close between those top two for sure.
I've never seen conversational AI demonstrated in such a way. It's at the better stage, but demonstrated in such a way that it's a quick shot interaction. You don't have to wait for somebody to answer. If you change your mind, it was really like having a conversation with an agent or with somebody who supports the travel program. What I also enjoyed the description around the roadmap, pulling what they built already into a different kind of approach to planning travel. Because most folks think it begins in the OBT or it begins with the TMC. It doesn't. It begins in a calendar. You get a meeting request. You get, you have to build your trips around the meeting request. You have to obtain a visa, perhaps, or PWD documentation, all that kind of stuff. And so what they're planning to do is to make it interactive with the actual calendar. So if you have a flight disruption, you might need to cancel the meeting, or a meeting gets cancelled, you might need to change the travel plans. Their plan or the roadmap for what they're coming up with is to facilitate the automation of that.
Any other standouts for you that you weren't able to honor this year, but something that really stood out to you?
I think they all are really interesting products, and with just a little push in a few directions, I think they could all be really standouts in the future.
BlockSky and Zenma are standouts to me. I think the central, not issue, but I think the central opportunity for growth is to adapt to the different regions and markets. Right, so I think the big question around BlockSky is what's the readiness for the European market, since it's BTS Europe. The same goes for Zenma. It's very, very young. They're an established company in Asia Pac. They come from a very, very complex travel market, which is India. So I have absolutely no doubts whatsoever that the application, or let's say also after a conversation that I had with the folks, that could become something really big, because it's tying together the TMC and corporate customer component under one platform, under one umbrella, eliminating the need to distinguish between offline and online, which helps with reducing data fragmentation.
I just love the variety of different companies that were there and the different innovations that were there. And I think, if we worry about innovation being alive and well in the travel and meetings and events industry, I think we had a brilliant demonstration that it absolutely is alive and well. I think BlockSky for me is the one that stands out. They gave some fantastic stats on what they delivered for PwC as an example. And I thought that it's impressive. They build themselves as a payment solution, but they are much, much more than that. And I think the stats that we saw, and I've personally heard about what the results have been from the PwC case study as an example, which is exceptional. But then planned as well, I think they offer a great different solution in the meetings and event space. And I think sometimes meetings and events is overlooked when it comes to innovation in some ways, and there's many opportunities there. But I think all of them were great. I think they all had a unique, different offerings, solution, problem they're trying to solve, and that's a great thing.
Absolutely. Of course, we thank everyone who got up there and presented. It's a tough to be under that time pressure. You see that 7-minute clock clicking down, but they all did a great job. So we were really happy this year. So thank you all for judging. We really enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you all next year when we return for yet another Innovation Face-Off.